right, man, we back. Motor City Sports Talk took a couple days off, but hey, we back. It's draft week for the Pistons, and don't expect the Pistons to move Reggie Jackson, Blake Griffin, or Andre Drummond this offseason if Ed Stefanowski kept his word. According to Rod Beard on Twitter, I'll link that source in the description, that the Pistons going to continue to build around Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, and Reggie Jackson, and I have my long and deep opinion on that. Appreciate everybody for tapping back in with your boy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the videos. Now, like I said before, as we move forward into another NFL season, football season, do more Michigan State, college football, talking basketball. Hey, if you a fanboy and you cry over people's opinions and shit like that, this ain't the channel for you, okay? But I mean, he could be bluffing, but let's just take his word for what his word is, right? In my opinion, I think it's the most stupidest thing they can do. Okay, at the end of the day, the East just got a little bit weaker. What I mean by that is Kevin Durant is probably going to go somewhere, the Knicks or Brooklyn. So now I don't think you got to worry about the Knicks or Brooklyn getting in your way, okay? They swap out Kyrie for D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think D'Angelo Russell is probably going to be a better player than Kyrie. But, hey, it is what it is. So now, virtually, Toronto could fall off if Kawhi does go back west. So I think Toronto will be battling for an 8th spot, right? Milwaukee, I think they'll come back pretty good next year. Indiana, if Oladipo get healthy, they got a ton of money spending cap. Who else you got out there? I think Boston will still be somewhere in the mix. I think you don't worry about Cleveland. Orlando, I think they should trade that Mo Bamba guy and keep Vujovic. They won't. So I'm not really looking forward to Orlando being a problem. I think Charlotte will be right down there with us again. Miami will be right down there with us again. I think Brooklyn is going to be right back down there with us again. Even if they get Durant, he ain't playing next year. I don't really hold Kyrie that highly by himself and as a leader, okay? So pretty much the Pistons are still alive, okay? The Bulls, they don't know what they want to do. They talking about trading Zach LaVine for that 4th pick to New Orleans, which I think is crazy. I love Zach LaVine game. Okay, so the Pistons will still be in the mix, all right? If they hit it home with their draft pick and they talking about possibly trading the pick and trading down to get 2 ones, we'll see. If they hit it home in their draft pick and Bruce Brown develop or Kyrie Thomas or the CV guy develop, then I think they'd be right in the same mix they was last year. That's the best case scenario. Okay, at the end of the day, this just sound like this the owner. Okay, the owner wants to keep these guys together, and you know what? You gonna get the same fucking results you got last year. Okay, if not, you might miss the playoffs. Andre Drummond is practicing shooting step back threes. Blake Griffin is the Asian superstar with an injury. If Atlanta or Miami wanted him, I would easily ship him off there to get that money off the books. But you know what? The Pistons gonna set themselves back another decade. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. Okay, they're going to set themselves back another decade. Remember the 80s, okay, we was doing well in the mid-80s going in. The 90s was terrible. Then the early 2000s, we got back. But now, then in the 2010s, they ain't did shit. And I think in the 2020s, they're not going to do nothing either. I think, at least in the first half of the 2020s, they're going to set themselves back, okay? Reggie Jackson, at the end of the day, it's an expiring contract. They probably, if shit don't go right with him, excuse my language, they'll probably get rid of him at the trade deadline, okay? He's expiring contract. That'll get them $19 million in cap space, or to get them a player that maybe somebody else don't want, didn't work out for agency, whatever situation may be. Andre Drummond, at the end of the day, he is what he is, okay? I talk to other dudes that got channels or whatever the situation may be around Detroit, and they feel the same way, okay? They feel the same way. I don't know if they express that on their channel like that because I don't really be paying attention, but I have talked to a few people, man. And at the end of the day, Andre Drummond is what he is. Okay, I don't even know if you could trade this guy. But instead of working on his post game or becoming a premier defender, he got to do one. He got to be a good defender, a good offensive player with his back to the basket. Okay, he neither one of those right now. People say, who's going to rebound for us? Like, really? Rebound is important, but if you can't put back, you 7 foot, you can't put the ball in the hole from 2 inches away. I mean, how good are you? If you can't put the ball in the hole or stop the ball from being put in the hole, I don't care how good of rebound you was. People talking about Dennis Rodman's one of the greatest rebounders, right? Without his defense, he ain't shit. If he's just a rebounder, he don't really impact the game. You know, like he did defensively. Dennis Rodman's probably the all-around greatest defender I seen. I think the greatest perimeter defender I seen was Scottie Pippen. But all around, you talking about from guarding Shaq to guarding Larry Bird to guarding guards in his whole career, and it was a different Dennis Rodman as he got older. He guarded more of the big guys. But I think it's a huge mistake if they really gonna go into next season with this core, and they looking for different results. For the majority of the season, you had these guys healthy to the end with Blake Griffin. But that's Blake Griffin MO. That's what you look for every year. Blake Griffin missing a stretch of games. I felt that they made a mistake. I believe Dwayne Casey's biggest mistake last year was not resting Blake Griffin enough. I understand they lost 10, 12, 13 or something like that straight, but they still had to find a way to manage Blake Griffin load. He was carrying too much of the load last year. Okay, at the end of the day, they want Blake Griffin to sell tickets, okay? They want to keep these guys together because people going to believe, if they get healthy this year, they'll put wins up. In the grand scheme of things, even though I believe the East can get significantly weaker, with Kawhi leaving, Durant getting hurt, maybe coming out East, even if D'Angelo Russell go to Indiana, Kyrie leaving Boston, I think it got significantly weaker by that happening, but I don't think the Pistons is still a 4 or 5 team. Damn sure in the 2, 3, or 1 team. A lot of injuries got to happen for that to happen. You're looking at Andre. He just take about 24, 25 of the cap. Blake Griffin in the 30s. Reggie Jackson is 19 million this year. That's the majority of your cap. So really what the Pistons are banking on is Civi developing. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. Bruce Brown developing. Kyrie Thomas developing. And they happen on a mid-level exception, which is around $5 million, to come in and give what they give a lot. And then you also, hoping that the rookies you bring in, at least one of them, in the first or second round, if they got a second round pick, give you something. And that's a lot to bang on. That's a lot to bang on. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot to hang your hat on. You see dudes that been in the league for years never develop a jump shot. What if Bruce Brown don't develop a floater, or don't develop an offensive game going to the lane, or don't develop a mid-range game, or don't develop a three-point game? What if Kyrie Thomas don't develop? Well, you shit out of luck. What if Luke Kennard is what he is? The Pistons are legitimately banking on development. And that's Dwayne Casey's calling card. But no matter how you spin it, if it's this year, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the core Reggie Jackson, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond is not championship material. And maybe the Pistons are okay with being okay. And a lot of people in Detroit was, we made the playoffs. Like, for me, that ain't good enough. With this veteran team, okay, at the ages of what they getting paid, Jackson, Griffin, and Andre Drummond, they should be championship caliber contenders for what you paying them. All of them overpaid. They ain't gonna get to the championship. Now, if they was 5-6 years younger, or whatever situation may be, and you building towards a championship, then I'm like, okay. They get paid a lot less, and you building towards a championship. They 20, 23, 24. The majority of them, they young and they still developing. I'm like, okay, maybe you wanted something. Maybe you wanted something. Maybe they still developing, and you're a younger team, you building towards the championship. But this is a win now team. And what are you winning? The 8th, the 7th, the 6th seed? Like, at this point, Brooklyn being the 6th seed last year, I forgot about Philly. Shout out to Philly. 76ers. Brooklyn being the 6th seed last year, at least they building to something. Kyrie will still, 27, 28, if he go there. They keep D-Lo, he 24, I believe. Baby Durant carries a vert. Jared Allen still young, They got Tyrese Prince from the Atlanta Hawks. That was a good pickup. They still got Joe Harris. You know what I'm saying? They still got, DeMarre Carroll, I think, if they didn't trade him. They still got a young core, a young enough core where, hey, man, if we get Kevin Durant with a Kyrie Irving, get rid of D'Angelo Russell, right now, they might be top 3 in the East in a couple years when Durant get back. Even if he can't be Durant, he got to be a stretch forward now. You can look at them getting top 3 or 4 seed. Do you expect Blake Griffin to get better next year? Or a year older? Or maintain where he at? Do you expect Reggie Jackson to get better? No. Do you expect Andre Drummond to get better at his age? What is he, 24, 25? Yeah, but he hasn't developed a hook, a baby hook. He hasn't developed a Rasheed turnaround, a shimmy, a sky hook. He hasn't even developed a putback game where to put the ball back in. He hasn't developed to be a rim defender. He hasn't developed to be a weak side defender. He's soft as banana pudding. And this is your defense. It ain't Ben Wallace in there. All right, this ain't even Theo Ratliff. Defensively, all this is telling me is Tom Gores want to keep this core together. They want to be good enough just to make the playoffs. And once again, they're going to set the Pistons back for the first half of the 2020 decades. Instead of them doing the right thing with trading off, even if you trading off at less value, and cleaning your cap and being bad and developing talent through the draft, then putting veterans around them and making this a great free agent destination with young talent. The Pistons are going to be what they're going to be. I'm not going to say they're going to miss the playoffs yet because a lot of things can happen. But in the grand scheme of things, if they was in the West, this team wouldn't be a playoff team. And I don't see where the hope is sold with the Pistons. Okay, they get Kevin Porter. He can light it up. That's hope sold. I like it. They get a rookie that come in and he Devon Mitchell or Jason Tatum as a rookie. All right, hope sold. But then again, are you good enough to win? The goal is to be building towards the championship. That's the goal. And in my opinion, I think it's stupid to keep these three together. And I eventually think Reggie will go. Contract attractive. Don't know who will be free agent next following season. But how many more shots they going to give Andre Drummond? How many shots they going to give Blake Griffin? And people say, oh, you're not loyal to Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is an Asian superstar with a knee problem. I think personally, he want to be somewhere to win a championship. Personally, he don't want to be stuck in Detroit and on a bum knee. You're not going nowhere. 7th, 8th seed, 6th seed. I don't think they're going to be the 6th seed next year. I think they may not make the playoffs. They just don't have enough around these guys. None of these guys is going to be the best team, the best player to win a championship. Blake Griffin may be the second best player on the championship team. I don't think so. Golden State at health. Your third best player this year, probably Klay Thompson. I picked Klay Thompson over Blake Griffin and, what he done. I know he made all NBA third team, but I'd rather have Klay Thompson younger. He shoot. Okay? The Los Angeles Lakers, they're second best player, Anthony Davis. That's not even a discussion. You look at the East, Giannis Antetokounmpo, second best player who? Middleton? Okay, I say Blake Griffin better than Middleton. And keep going. Indiana, their second best player might be Oladipo or D'Angelo Russell, depending on how the health come back. If they get Russell, I'd rather have D'Angelo Russell going forward, in my opinion. If that's the case. I could be wrong. Boston, their second best player with Kyrie gone is probably going to be Jaylen Brown. Okay. I'll take Blake. But you talking about the real championship contenders, it'd be interesting to see. Be really interesting to see. But, I just think they setting the franchise back. They need to go ahead and do the right thing. Shut it down, okay? And they need to trade some of these guys and try to put pieces around somebody. Pick a guy to build around. You try to build around Andre Drummond for a while. It hasn't worked. He hasn't developed a defensive mentality. He hasn't developed offensively. At some point, you got to be like, okay, pick a struggle. Struggle on offense and thrive on D, or struggle on defense and thrive on O. Reggie Jackson, I don't know why they keep believing in this guy. Okay? I don't understand it. He suck. Didn't like him in OKC. Didn't like him in Boston College. Blake Griffin, I understand you want him to be here to pull tickets. I 100% understand. But he's an aging star, and if teams want him, trade him. Because he ain't going to win a ship here. This team ain't going to win a championship for a long time. But hey, we'll see. I could be wrong. I know I'm not. But I could be wrong. I don't see Andre Drummond developing what he needs to develop. This team is going nowhere fast. But if they want to keep them together, go ahead. Go ahead. I think the East, in their defense, the East is getting weaker. If Kawhi leave, Durant out for a year, he come East, I think it is getting weaker. Chicago trying to trade assets off like idiots. I can't agree with that. And if Kemba leave and go to LA, which I don't think will happen, he won't stay in Charlotte. I can see that. But hey, Motor City Sports Talk. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out to the email if you have a business question, inquiry, response, video request, or you just want to chop it up. Appreciate the love, support, man. Keep sharing the videos, man. Want to tap in, want to make a donation, that link's in the description. Let me know what you guys think. I'll link that source in the description on the Source League from Twitter. And would you break up the team or would you keep them together? Where do you rate the Pistons at in the East going forward? Let me know. But appreciate it. One time for the one time. Motor City Sports.